So when I arrived, the warden looked at me and said, "Look at the sky, breathe the air, look at the grass." He said, "The next time you come out, you'll be an old man in a bag." So I looked at him and I said, "I don't think so." I said, "God, Hashem runs the world, not you." So he said, "We'll see."
יונתן פולארד, קודם כל אני ממש מתרגש לפגוש אותך. לא האמנתי שיהיה יום שבו אני אזכה לפגוש אותך בחיי, בחייך. אז קודם כל, ברוך הבא.
תודה רבה.
אתה אחרי 30 שנים בכלא בארצות הברית. 30 שנים בתנאים קשים מאוד. קודם כל, איך שומרים על שפיות בתנאים כל כך קשים, בבידוד כל כך מוחלט?
Keeping your mind in prison is a very difficult thing. Most people that I know had very long sentences like me. They were death sentences, basically. And most of those men lived on hate. And you can live a long time on hate. But it leaves you empty at the end of the day, and it leaves you without hope and without a reason to live. So in prison, you usually end up dying in that case, either spiritually and then first spiritually and then physically. With me, I lived on two things, love and Yirat Shamayim. Love was love of Esther Yochevet, my wife, Alei Shalom, and love of Eretz Yisrael. And it was Kavod Harav Mordechai Eliyahu, Zefet Tzaddik Livracha, who pointed out to me that both of them, Eretz Yisrael and Esther Yochevet, had the first initials, that they were the same. So loving one allowed me to love the other. As far as Yirat Shamayim was concerned, this is where I first learned it, and it was Esther who taught me this. She said, there's only one way to live in prison, and that's if you fear only God. You don't fear anything else. A big guy with a knife, no. A disease that sweeps through the prison, no. No food for a week, no. You fear only God. And when you do that, she said, you'll have a much better life. And so she gave me her love, and she actually gave me her strength in Yirat Shamayim to survive the 30 years in prison.
את המאסר למעשה לא התחלת, אבל כבן אדם דתי, ירא שמיים, זה משהו שהלך והתקדם תוך כדי תנועה. אתה זוכר מתי זה התחיל, היראת שמיים והכוחות האלה שאתה מקבל מלמעלה?
The first prison I went to was about 150 meters underground, no windows, and it was a special prison. I was the 32nd prisoner there. There were 31 others. I don't know who they were, except most of them, like me, were not cooperating. They weren't talking. Some were mafia, some were drug people, some were domestic terrorists, some were international terrorists. But all of us had one thing in common. We weren't talking. So when I didn't even know this prison existed. So when I arrived, the warden looked at me and said, "Look at the sky, breathe the air, look at the grass." He said, "The next time you come out, you'll be an old man in a bag." So I looked at him and I said, "I don't think so." And I don't know why I said it. It was like a bat kol that came through my mouth. I said, God, Hashem runs the world, not you. So he said, "We'll see." So in this prison, the light was kept, the cell was 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters. And the light was kept on the whole time. The toilet was flushed maybe 3 times a week. They fed us 3 times a day. I don't know what it was. I hope it was dog food. At least then it would be sterile. I don't know though. and nothing to read, nothing to write, no phone calls, no visits. It was pretty bad. And the warden later told me there are two ways to leave this prison. You can talk, or you can use the bar over the door to hang yourself, one or the other. So I sat down, and I didn't want to die, but I couldn't talk. So what did I do? I finally had to make I became reacquainted with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because I said to him, I can't do this on my own. It's beyond me. I need help. So at that point, I negotiated with Hashem, like Avram Avinu. I negotiated with Hashem, and I said, I will do this, 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 and this if you save me. And those promises I keep to this day. So at the end of 7 years, I walked out, and as I was leaving, I asked one of the guards, why is it that all the lights are off? He said, you're the only one living. I was the only one that walked out alive. So I said, Baruch Hashem. So when I got up to the top, out into the day, the same warden was there. And I have a problem sometimes with keeping my mouth shut. You know, time and place, it doesn't mean anything to me. So I looked at him and I said, you see, God runs the world. I lost a tooth, but that was okay. He punched me, but that was the nicest pain I ever experienced in my life. Al Kiddush Hashem, it was fine. So in a real sense, Hashem saved me during that time. I had no Sidur, I had no Tanakh, I had nothing. So the most important thing is to give yourself up to Him and to understand that He will carry you through. But you have to follow rules, which I tried to do. And even when I went to the next prison, I followed those rules. And even to this day, I keep those promises. He saved my life. So I owe him my life. So it's easy for me to do what I'm supposed to do as an observant Jew.
אסתר פולארד, האישה החזקה והלוחמת שלא נרתעה ממאבקים והאמינה בדרך ארוכה, נפטרה הלילה בבית החולים הדסה.
So after she died, I didn't know what to do. I was in a very kind of dark place. And I thought, okay, what do we do? I can't live like this. Well, she did two things for me. Number one, she did the shidduch with Rivka. And when I asked her, why are you doing this? She said, I want you to be happy. Who does this? So she protected me that way. And if we have children, I've already been told by Rivka that a girl, at least, will be called Esther. As far as the bigger picture is concerned, I just decided, okay, Agan. A lot of that had to do with her philosophy on Jewish education and Jewish identity. Esther she was a student, if you will, of Rav Cohen Cook. So her philosophy was completely centered on the need for a clear, well-developed, well-informed Jewish identity for children. So I thought about that, and I've talked to a lot of people whose children are in school systems, and a lot of people are very disappointed. We're one way or the other with the kind of education they're getting. So I thought, okay, I'll try to act on her philosophy. And she felt that you have to get children at the earliest age. So, Agan. And it was amazing when I went to see this gun for the first time in the temporary facilities. I've been in the Gan before. It's like, it is a balagan, you know, when you go in. And here it was very controlled, it was disciplined. And these little kids were sitting at a table for lunch saying brachot before they ate. Wow, this is what she was about. So if you look at where I came from and where I eventually ended up, this is how I explain it. When I got here, everybody was thanking me. And I feel very uncomfortable with that because I'm not somebody that needs thanks. And I talked to Esther, alayhi shalom, about this, and I said, I'm uncomfortable. And she said, why are you uncomfortable? And I thought about it, and I finally figured out why. I'm not supposed to receive thanks. I'm supposed to thank you. Why? Because if it weren't for all of you here, I wouldn't have had the privilege, the zchut, to spend 30 years in Gehenna learning how to be a Jew so that I could come home. So I shouldn't receive thanks. I should be thanking people for that. And so I looked at her, Esther, and I told her that, and she said, Baruch Hashem, you're finally thinking like a Jew. So that's how I survived. As Esther said to me, when she died, you serve the land and people of Israel. That's it. Nothing else. I don't serve a political party. Look, I don't follow orders very well. So when the party leader says, jump off the cliff with me, my answer to that is, you go first.